For this first training, I want to go over pivot tables. And pivot tables are basically a very easy way to summarize a lot of data at once. So for example, today we're going to be working with this data set that is from a company that sells household items. As you can see, this is a data set that has 9 columns. We have 9 columns and we have over 2,000 rows. So it's a pretty big data set. I'm going to explain the data set so you know what we're working with. So this first column is the store. So which city the store is located in, the country in which it is located, the region. So for example, for Brazil, the region is Latin America. The date in which products were sold, the item. So the item can be a microwave, an air conditioner, a toaster, and whatnot. This is the salesperson, so who sold the product. This is the list price. So the price at which the list price is the price at which the item was first listed, and the actual price at in this column, actual price is the actual price at which the product was sold at. And this is the discount percentage. So we can see the initial price for the product was $80, but the product was actually sold at $79. So it has a discount of 1.25%. Okay, now that you understand the dataset a little bit, we can go on to some of the questions I have here that would help us to learn about pivot tables. So this question is asking how much in dollars or in money did you sell in each country? So to make a pivot table, we're first going to go to the Insert tab, this tab here. On the left, we're going to see this icon, Pivot Table. And then we need to select the range from which we want to create this pivot table from. So in here, we're going to go to our Data tab, Data. We are going to select all of our data. So we select all of our columns and all of our rows. I just use a command to select the data faster, but you can just highlight it. So we can see we have an empty pivot table here. And in a pivot table, the main components are these 4 boxes that we see here. So our columns are the columns of the pivot table. The rows are going to be the rows of our pivot table, and the values is going to be either like the sum of the values, the count of the values. We're going to see later on what this box is about. And then we use filter to filter the data, but again, we're going to see it in practice so you can understand it better. So going back to question 1, how much in dollars, in money, did you sell in each country? So I am going to click and drag the country into the rows. So we can see that now I have all of the countries in here. And then I am going to select the actual price, and I'm going to drag it to this box here that is the values box. And what the pivot table did was to sum all of the price. So what happens here is that pivot table, it automatically takes all of the values for Argentina and sums it. I am going to convert this into monetary value so that it looks better. So for that, I click here, I click in the little I here, and then I go to number, and then I select currency. And that is going to make everything go from just simple numbers into dollar values. So again, what the pivot table does is it takes all of the values for Argentina and it's going to automatically sum it. So this is a nice summary of how much money did you sell in each country. So to give you a better illustration, if I look for all of the Argentina, so here's my first Argentina, the actual price is 570, and then the next one is 712 here, and then the next one is 28. So basically, again, the pivot table automatically sums all of those individual numbers to give you a nice summary. That's why I wanted to start with pivot tables, because they're very useful but also very easy to create. So moving on to question 2. Question 2 is, per each home appliance item, how many items were sold by your company? So it's basically asking how many items did you sell for each product that you have. So again, to create the pivot table, I am going to go to this insert tab here, pivot table, and I'm going to select the range in which my data is in. So I'm going to click on this tab and I'm going to select all of my data here, and I selected my data. One second. So I just need to push this lower. Okay, so again, I have to repeat the steps, but I'm just gonna do it very quickly. So I want to know of how many products did we sell for each item. So I am going to drag the item variable into the rows. So the rows are the horizontal ones, are going to be horizontal, and then the columns are going to be the vertical ones, this. So I am going to, because I want to know the count of the items, I am going to drag this into the values box. And basically what it did is that it's going to count the amount of time that air conditioner appears in our data in this column. It's going to sum it, and it's going to give you the total count of how many times air conditioner appears in your data set. Okay, now on to question 3. It says, create a table that shows the breakdown of total revenue from each of items sold in rows, and the regions in the regions each item was sold in. So basically this question is asking how much money did you make for each item, and by region. So again, to create a pivot table, we go to insert pivot table. We're going to select our data range. We're going to select our data, and here we have, because we want to know, I will actually rewrite this. Actually no, it's okay. I am going to drag the item here into rows, and I am going to, so again, we want our items, as rows, so that's why I dragged item into row, and the region in which each item was sold, we want that as the columns. So we're going to drag the region into the columns, and then for the values, I want to know the total revenue for each of the items sold. So I am going to drag the actual price into the values, and it's going to automatically sum up all of the numbers that we have in our data range. And again, if we want to convert this into currency, we can do the changing the format. So it changed from just numbers into currency format. So we know that for air conditioners, in America we sold $33,000, in Europe we sold $51,000, and so on. And this is giving us the grand total. So in America we sold $167,000, and so on. So and this column here is giving us the total of how much money did we sell for air conditioner across all regions. Again, this row here is telling us how much money did we sell in the Americas region for all products, because it's summing this, and then this column is telling us how much money did we sell for air conditioners across all regions.